Imagine waking up tomorrow with a completely different life. You're healthier, stronger, wealthier, more confident, the kind of person everyone admires, but because you were born different, but because you became different. Now imagine something else. Imagine that same future slipping away, not because you failed in one dramatic moment, but because of hundreds of tiny decisions that seemed too small to matter. That's the brutal truth no one talks about. People don't lose their dreams overnight. They lose them one skipped workout at a time, one delayed project at a time, one excuse at a time. The scary part, you never notice it while it's happening. Every morning, millions of people wake up with incredible ambitions. They promise themselves this will be the day everything changes. They'll start exercising, they'll build a business, they'll write the book, they'll learn a new skill. For a few days, everything feels exciting. The alarm rings before sunrise, and they jump out of bed with energy. They buy new notebooks, expensive gym clothes, productivity apps, and motivational books. For a brief moment, they truly believe they've become a new person. But then life happens. The weather gets colder, work becomes stressful, friends invite them out. They feel tired. The excitement slowly disappears. And suddenly, the habits that once felt exciting now feel heavy. One missed day becomes two. To become a week quietly turns into another year. Not because they lacked talent, but because they believed motivation would always be there. Here's what nobody tells you. Motivation is like the weather. Some days it's bright and sunny. Other days it's cold, dark, and stormy. Would you stop breathing just because the weather changed? Of course not. Then why do so many people stop chasing their dreams the moment they stop feeling inspired? Because they were taught the biggest lie in personal development. Follow your passion. No, passion doesn't build success. Consistency does. Every successful person you've ever admired has faced mornings when they wanted to quit. Athletes, entrepreneurs, artists, scientists, they all had days when doing nothing felt easier. The difference wasn't that they never struggled. The difference was that they kept showing up anyway. Because consistency isn't about being perfect. It's about refusing to disappear. Think about a tiny drop of water. By itself, it seems harmless, soft, weak, almost invisible. But let that same drop fall on the exact same spot, every single day. For years, eventually, it carves through solid rock, not because the water is powerful, but because it never stopped showing up. The same law governs your life. Every small action you repeat is quietly shaping your future. Every book you read, every workout you finish, every dollar you save, every hour you spend learning instead of scrolling. None of them seem life-changing today, but together, they become the person you'll be 5 years from now. Let's imagine two friends. We'll call them Ethan and Noah. Both were 22 years old. Both had big dreams. Both wanted financial freedom, a healthy body, and a life they could be proud of. On the first day of January, they made the exact same promise. This is going to be my year. They bought the same books, downloaded the same productivity apps, signed up for the same gym. They even laughed about how, 1 year from now, their lives would be completely different. For the first week, everything looked identical. Every morning at 6 o'clock, they trained together. After work, they spent an hour learning new skills. At night, they planned tomorrow before going to sleep. It felt amazing. Every day felt like progress. Every workout felt exciting. Every small achievement made them believe success was just around the corner. But then, reality arrived. The excitement slowly disappeared. The alarm suddenly felt louder. The mornings became colder. Their bodies became sore. Learning after work became exhausting. One Monday morning, Ethan looked at his phone and thought, "I'll skip today. One day won't matter." So he stayed in bed. The next day, he promised to start again. But another excuse appeared. He had too much work. He didn't sleep well. The weather wasn't good. He'd start next week instead. Days quietly turned into weeks. Weeks became months. Without realizing it, Ethan returned to exactly the same life he had promised to escape. Not because he wasn't capable, not because he wasn't intelligent, but because every excuse felt completely reasonable in the moment. Now let's look at Noah. Did he feel motivated every day? Absolutely not. Some mornings he hated the sound of his alarm. Some workouts felt terrible. Some days he questioned whether any of it was worth it. There were moments when he wanted to quit just as badly as Ethan did. The difference was that Noah stopped asking himself one dangerous question. Do I feel like doing this today? Instead, he asked a different question. Who do I want to become? That single question changed everything. Because once your identity changes, your decisions begin to change. Noah no longer saw himself as someone trying to get fit. He became someone who trains. He wasn't trying to read more books. He became someone who learns every day. He wasn't chasing discipline anymore. He was becoming a disciplined person. And when discipline becomes part of your identity, skipping feels stranger than showing up. Months passed. At first, nothing looked different. No dramatic transformation. No overnight success. If you looked at Noah after 30 days, you probably wouldn't notice anything special. That's the dangerous part about consistency. Its rewards are invisible in the beginning. People often quit because they expect visible results too early. But nature doesn't work that way. Think about planting a seed. For weeks, nothing. That's exactly why it's so dangerous. Because every time you listen to it, you're not just skipping a workout, avoiding your work, or delaying your dream. You're teaching your brain a lesson. The human brain is always learning, not only from what you do, but also from what you repeatedly choose not to do. If every challenge ends with an excuse, your brain begins to believe that quitting is normal. Eventually, quitting becomes automatic. You don't even think about it anymore. You simply give up. That's why success isn't built by one big decision. It's built by thousands of tiny victories that nobody ever sees. Imagine a blacksmith forging a sword. He doesn't strike the metal once and expect perfection. He heats it, hits it, cools it, then repeats the process again, and again, and again. To an outsider, every single strike looks exactly the same. Nothing seems to change. But inside the steel, every strike makes it stronger. Your habits work the same way. Every time you wake up when you don't feel like it, you become stronger. Every time you choose learning instead of endless scrolling, you become wiser. Every time you keep your promise to yourself, you become someone you can trust. And trust is where real confidence comes from. People often think confidence comes before action, but the truth is exactly the opposite. Action creates confidence. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how children learn to walk? They don't succeed on the first attempt. They fall again and again, sometimes hundreds of times. Yet they never sit on the floor and say, maybe walking just isn't for me. They simply stand up again because they haven't learned to doubt themselves yet. As adults, we do the opposite. We fail once, and suddenly we question our entire future. One rejection makes us believe we're not good enough. One mistake convinces us we're not talented. One bad week makes us abandon goals we've cared about for years. But failure was never the problem. The problem was believing failure meant the journey was over. Every successful person has failed more times than most people are willing to try. The entrepreneur whose company is worth millions once heard no hundreds of times. The athlete holding a championship trophy lost countless competitions. The writer whose book changed millions of lives was rejected again and again before anyone believed in their work. The world only remembers the victory. It rarely sees the years of invisible consistency behind it. And maybe that's the biggest misunderstanding of all. People admire results, but results are only shadows. The real success was built in the quiet moments, when nobody was watching, when there were no cameras, no applause, no audience, just a person making one simple decision: I will show up today, and then making that same decision tomorrow, the next day. Now, close your eyes for a moment. Imagine it's 5 years from today. You wake up in the same room. You look in the mirror. Your body looks exactly the same. Your bank account hasn't changed. The dreams you once talked about are still just dreams. Not because life was unfair. Not because you didn't have opportunities, but because every single day you believed there would always be another tomorrow. That's the cruel thing about time. It never argues with you. It never warns you. It simply keeps moving. Whether you take action or make excuses, time moves anyway. Think about the person you were 1 year ago. Doesn't it feel like it happened yesterday? Yet an entire year is gone. Now, ask yourself one question. If another year passes exactly the same way, where will you be? This is where most people misunderstand success. They think one big decision will change everything. They wait for the perfect Monday, the perfect month, the perfect opportunity, but life doesn't reward people who wait. It rewards people who move, even when the steps are small. Imagine climbing a mountain. If you keep staring only at the peak, you'll become exhausted. The distance feels impossible. But if you focus only on taking the next step, eventually you'll look back and realize you've climbed higher than you ever imagined. That's exactly how consistency works. It doesn't ask you to change your life overnight. It only asks you to keep moving. 1 page today, 1 workout today, 1 hour of focused work today, 1 promise kept today. That's all. The irony is, the actions that seem too small to matter today become the reason your life looks completely different tomorrow. There's another truth that almost nobody wants to hear. Your future isn't built on the days you feel motivated. It's built on the days you don't. Anyone can work hard when they're excited. Anyone can chase a dream when everything is going well. But what about the days when nothing seems to be working? When you feel tired? When progress is invisible? When nobody believes in you? Those are the days that quietly decide your future. Because every difficult day you survive becomes proof that you're stronger than yesterday. Every promise you keep to yourself strengthens your identity, and every excuse you refuse to accept weakens the version of you that wants to quit. One day, people will look at your success and call you disciplined. They'll say you were lucky. They'll assume you had more talent. What they won't see are the hundreds of mornings you wanted to stay in bed, the nights you kept working while everyone else was asleep, the weekends you invested in your future instead of chasing temporary comfort. Success always looks simple after it's achieved, but while you're living it, it feels lonely. It feels repetitive. Sometimes it even feels meaningless. And now, here comes the truth that almost nobody wants to accept. Your future is being written right now. Not tomorrow, not next Monday, not when you finally feel motivated. Right now. Every choice you make today is casting a vote for the person you will become. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you vote for a stronger future. Every time you choose excuses over action, you vote for the life you secretly fear. Life isn't changed by one giant breakthrough. These moments seem ordinary, but together, would they smile and thank you for refusing to quit when it was hard? Or would they ask a painful question? Why did you give up when you were so close? The hardest part is you'll never know how close you were. Many people quit one step before the breakthrough. One more week, one more attempt, one more lesson could have changed everything, but they never found out. Because they stopped. Remember Ethan and Noah. Their lives didn't become different because one was smarter. They didn't become different because one got lucky. They became different because every ordinary day Noah made one small decision: to show up again and again and again. Years later, people called him successful. But success wasn't built on the day he reached his goal. It was built on the hundreds of days when nothing exciting happened. And he showed up anyway. That's the part the world never sees. The quiet mornings, the lonely evenings, the repeated effort, the discipline no one applauded. Those moments became the foundation of everything he achieved. So if you're waiting for a sign, this is it. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need perfect timing. You don't need to feel fearless. You only need to make one decision. Show up today, then wake up tomorrow, and do it again. Some days you'll move fast. Some days you'll barely move at all. But never confuse slow progress with no progress. A river doesn't carve through a mountain because it's powerful. It carves through stone because it never stops flowing. Become like that river, quiet, patient, relentless, because one day you'll look back at the life you've built, and you'll realize something incredible. The person you once dreamed of becoming was never created by motivation. They were created by consistency. So when life gives you a reason to quit, give yourself a reason to continue, because in the end, the people who change their lives aren't the most talented. They aren't the luckiest. They aren't the smartest. They're simply the ones who kept going, long after everyone else stopped. And maybe years from now, someone will look at your success and think it happened overnight. But you'll know the truth. It happened one consistent day at a time. Thank you for watching. And remember, your future isn't waiting for perfection. It's waiting for your next step.